Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Welcome to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, with locations across the state of Florida and right here in Central Point in the heart of Gator Nation. I'm not Shane Matthews. I'm Graham Hall. Don't worry, Shane Matthews will be back on Monday. He is at a charity event because he is such a good guy. Don't worry, he's not going anywhere, though. He asked me to host the show, and I was honored to do it. We want to thank and acknowledge David Steele before we get into it here with JC. You guys all know JC. How you doing, my man? Good to have you here.
Yeah, good to see you, Graham. Good morning. I'm in the lovely village of Columbus, Ohio this morning. I really have no reason to be here other than the fact that some friends asked my wife and I to come up to watch the Buckeyes. And at the time we were coming up here to watch the Buckeyes, the Ohio State University, Penn State looked like the game that they had circled on their calendar as being the most exciting, at least in Columbus. They're playing at Michigan this year. So it's turned out that since then, we've now seen James Franklin be excused and Penn State suck. I mean, absolutely be horrible, losing to Northwestern at home and so forth. So a little bit of the glam has been taken off the game. Drew Aller will not be playing. He's out. But that's not why people are turning into this show or tuning into this show. They're tuning into this show to watch you and I discuss the Florida-Georgia game. And this is, of course, the biggest game on the calendar for me. It falls at a time of the year that's very important to me, and I just love Florida-Georgia. The history behind it, everything that surrounds it, and some of the drama that's been a part of it. And frankly, some of the real absolute just lousy blowout type scenarios that have also been a part of this series. But I think we're going to see an exciting game tomorrow. I know fans are going to be asked to get there early because of all the construction and everything that's going on at that stadium. It's not as bad as everybody wants you to think it is, though. They just tell you to get there for your own good. But I was at the Jaguars game a couple weeks ago, and it's not horrible. It's not yet horrible. So I think it'll be better than most people think, and the partying will continue on, and it will live up to its moniker of the world's largest cocktail party. And hopefully a good game. We'll see.
Yes, we want to thank Comfort Temp, our daily guest sponsor. Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your number one HVAC company, offering $1,000 off new installation units. Visit us at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. For having JC here today, we thank them very much. I take it you don't want to see this game outside Jacksonville, given the history of it, but you're going to have no choice next year. Atlanta, then Tampa, and then back to hopefully a beautiful renovated Jacksonville area with, a lot of people out there make a lot about the field. I don't know if that's going to change very much here, and a couple injuries in recent years. Shamar James was a notable one that comes to mind, but I do love Jacksonville, being out there in the parking lot, tailgating, the atmosphere. It's going to be tough if you're going to the game. We've been told that traffic is going to be a little bit worse than usual. If it's not your first rodeo out there, you know what it's like. But that's part of the experience in my mind here. What are you looking for in this game? Because so much has been made about Billy Gonzalez, the offense being different. What are your expectations on Saturday?
My expectations are we're probably going to see a lot of some of the things we've already seen this year, but we're going to see some different wrinkles, and I think we're going to see a lot more spread out type of offense. I don't know this. I have no idea. I'm just going to think that if Billy Gonzalez has an opportunity to put his stamp on some sort of special event, he's going to want to be he's going to go in with guns blazing. Why not? I mean, you've got players now. Vernell Brown, of course, is out, and he is the leader on the team with receptions and yards. But they've got talent out there. They've got some guys that can catch the ball. They've got people that can make plays, and I would like to see them kind of air it out a little bit. Last year when DJ Lagway was playing in the game, Gators looked very aggressive. They looked like they had a real ability to pull an upset potentially, because in the first half they were taking it to Georgia in many ways up on the line of scrimmage and so forth. And even though Lagway got hurt, Florida had a lead going into the fourth quarter of that game at the very beginning of the fourth quarter. I think Florida's going to be up for this game. I think the week off helped. I think the distractions of the coaches firing helped. And I think Billy Gonzalez, I think the offensive staff is going to try to do some things maybe that we haven't seen this year. Now, I listen, I'm not delusional. Georgia's a team you have to play for 60 minutes and you have to be dialed up for 60 minutes. This team just comes at you and comes at you and comes at you. And they have a lot to play for this year. But this is a rivalry game that I think Florida can absolutely create some problems. And I don't think Georgia is the team where, a couple years ago they win the national title and now all those guys are playing for the Eagles or in the NFL. Those guys are not there. They're not there. You can do some things against Georgia. I think you can stop their running game and make Gunnar Stockton beat you. Make him make plays. Now, he did a very good job against Tennessee in the clutch when they pulled out that game in Knoxville. But if you remember, Tennessee jumped all over. They jumped all over them early in the game. But it just shows you the resiliency of the Georgia Bulldogs as a team and as a team coached by that coach, Kirby Smart. It's a team that never stops coming at you. So Florida has to be ready to go. And why wouldn't they? This could be a real turning point in the season. They're 3-4. They can still have a special year. And it would really make this staff and this coach look really good as they try to potentially audition for another job somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't get the whole notion that when you make a coaching change that you're giving up on the season here, because
I don't either.
There's so much to play for here from guys in their last year of college football, coaches like Billy Gonzalez, Jabbar Jalouk, who maybe see this as an audition for somewhere else. They're not going to come out and say it. Billy Gonzalez has been saying playing for the Pats because he loves the University of Florida, but this is a special opportunity for him. And he's a guy that is easy to play for as anyone else. When you were talking about potential interim head coaches, I thought that Billy Gonzalez, and I got, Jabbar Jalouk, and they got a lot of impressive coaches on the staff, but Billy Gonzalez is one that there's no one easier for the fan base to rally around, in my opinion, than Billy Gonzalez, a national championship winner at Florida, doesn't have to alter, the play calling. If you put Russ Callaway in the role, you're talking about your offensive play caller or, with Ryan O'Hara there being the head coach. That's pretty much the same problem that everyone's been griping about for the past few months. So you have a different, chance to make things a little bit more explosive, maybe get the play call in even quicker, because you look at Florida, they've been pretty slow at operating offensively. And if they can speed that up a little bit and get a few more plays in here, I think that they're going to look really, really good. This Georgia team is not as impressive as the recent ones. I think they got a ton of talent, but they've started slow defensively, and Florida has been really good on these scripted plays. I want to get your thoughts more on Gunnar Stockton because, man, Georgia just seems to pump out quality quarterbacks just every single year. Guys who maybe aren't going to wow you from a physical standpoint, but they're just impressive guys. I think if you polled everyone in Athens right now, Gunnar Stockton has exceeded a lot of these expectations. Just one interception, makes wise decisions, seems to improve as the game goes on. He's someone that you're not going to force into a lot of bad decisions, but he is a guy that, still relatively new to being a starter, as experienced as he is at the collegiate level. What do you expect out of Florida's defense against him? What do they got to do? I mean, he's put the ball on the ground a few times this year. So if Florida's defense can get to the quarterback at a little bit higher rate than we've seen, that's probably one of the more, I don't want to say disappointing, but maybe even surprising is the right words for Florida's defense. They got a bunch of talent on the line of scrimmage. The edge group is good. Mekhi Barrow, Jamari Lyons, Brendan Bett have been really good this year, but they haven't really affected quarterbacks at the rate I think a lot of people were expecting when Billy Napier came out and said, we got the deepest edge room. The edge room's the deepest unit on the team. They didn't really have they don't have the numbers that back that up. What do you think they got to do on Saturday to affect this guy who's been really good?
Well, I would start with trying to stop the run. This sounds very simplistic, but I'm not going to try to split the atom here. Stop the run, make him beat you with the pass, get them in third and long situations if that's possible. If you can make him pass the ball early in the game, kind of set the tone and stop Georgia's running attack. I don't know if that's possible. The bottom line is he made some passes against Tennessee that I didn't think he could make. I didn't think he could pull them back after they fell behind by 3 touchdowns. And since we've already seen that, I want to see it again. if Georgia's going to win, force them to come from behind by stopping the run and forcing him to be uncomfortable if you can. Throwing on the run maybe might be his strength, but I want to see it. I want to see if he can do it again, because that game against Tennessee, he made some throws that are very rare. The pass that won the game for them into the end zone to I can't recall his name off the top of my head, but they made an amazing play on fourth down to basically stay alive and win that game. I want to see if he can do that again. Those kinds of things. I'd love to see Florida jump out and be aggressive early and try to get an early lead and force Gunnar Stockton to be uncomfortable if you can. Get him out of the pocket, make him run around a little bit. Maybe that's what he's good at. Maybe it's not. But I think if you can stop their running game, stop the running backs from creating second and short, if you can get them into third and long, I think you have a better chance. Of course, you always have a better chance if you get those scenarios. But that's as like I said, I'm not trying to split the atom here. This is the easiest way to win, in my opinion. If they go second and short, third and short, it's a long day for the Gators. So I want them to be uncomfortable on offense, and hopefully Florida's defense, which has been the better part of this team, without a doubt, has been their defense. That's going to keep them in this game. Sure, I'd love to see a lot of guys who were out back in the lineup, but these guys who are playing right now have done a very good job of keeping the Gators live in just about every game they've played. So I want to see Gunnar Stockton have to beat us. If you make it easy for him, if you make it easy for the Georgia offense by allowing them second and short, third and short, if they skip third down, we're losing big. So that's kind of how I look at it. I noticed here on YouTube, my man Franklin Haw, he wants to know how I could go watch Ohio State and Florida on a Florida-Georgia weekend. Here's how. I made this decision when the Gators were 2-4. Okay, made this decision when I basically lost more money on the Gators than I should have, which is my fault. But Billy Napier just does it to you. He breaks your heart. And I made this decision when I was asked very nicely to come to a place that I've never been to before. And I thought, why not? Why the hell not? I'm looking out the hotel window right now, Franklin, at the Rusty Bucket Corner Saloon. No, it's the Corner Tavern. It's right across the street from my hotel, dude, the Rusty Bucket. So I've been to the Florida-Georgia Bonanza my entire life. I've seen it all. It's a little messy around the stadium. Yes, it is. And the Gators are 3-4 and could easily be 2-5. Easily be 2-5 after that Mississippi State fiasco. And it was a fiasco because you let them back in the damn game and they could have and should have probably won it. So that's why I'm in Ohio State. And I hate pissing on Florida right now. I want them to beat Georgia. I always do. I'm going to take the 7.5 points. I'm going to take the 7.5 points, Graham. And by the way, Hard Rock is live in Ohio. So is BetMGM, Graham, FanDuel, DraftKings, and that's why I'm going to get a good price on this game. Not that you care about that or anybody does, but honestly, I think it's nice once in a while to kind of leave the tent and go out there and hunt, and that's what I'm doing.
I encourage everyone to go see as many college football stadiums as you can. I know the Swamp is an incredible environment, but there are so many other great environments out there, whether it's going to a Florida game on the road. When I was in college, I went to the Big House in Ann Arbor and saw Michigan versus Michigan State. It was cold. It was a little bit rainy, but Ann Arbor's a beautiful town. You ever been to Ann Arbor?
No, but everything's been true.
Beautiful.
Everything I've heard is probably dead on.
Beautiful. And it was a crap football game, I'll be quite honest. I think it was Michigan won. I hope I'm not getting this wrong. They won 12-10.
Oh, that's typical.
4 field goals.
Yeah.
1 touchdown, 5 field goals total in the entire game. I mean, it wasn't a riveting game whatsoever, but
No.
to be at the stadium, it's one of the ones that you check off your bucket list. I've hit 13 of the stadiums in the SEC. I still got to get out to Norman. I haven't been to Sanford Stadium in Georgia. That's
Really?
part of my biased motivation is to have maybe one of these games be a home and home at some point in the future while I'm still lucky enough to do this.
When they did that before and it went home and home because of the renovations in Jacksonville, it went very well for Florida. They won a rainy game against Eric Zaire in the Swamp, and they emptied the stadium in the second half. Well, actually, it was the first half. They scored 50 on Georgia. Spurrier ran up the score. Hines Ward, that's when he played for Georgia. It was a blowout. And so that went well. I know Tampa and Atlanta are not where, we would be dreaming to watch this game. I wouldn't be totally against a home and home because my whole life has been Jacksonville. But I understand the nostalgia and the special nature of that a game. It's the only one other than Oklahoma, Texas, that has that scenario. And it would be fun because, listen, this stadium in Jacksonville, the stadium of the future, is going to be fantastic. It'll be good enough to where at some point Jacksonville once again will host a Super Bowl. There's no question in my mind that they don't do this without the idea of sometime in the future hosting the Super Bowl once they get that downtown area revitalized, which that stadium will do, and which all of this renovation over the next 3 years will do. But Florida, Georgia is a special weekend. It is, but you're right. Now, the one thing about this stadium that I hear I'm going to tomorrow, the Horseshoe, it's like pretty much 90% bench seating. So I'm going to be doing some back exercises this morning downstairs in the gym because I'm not used to bench seating since the 70s and 80s. That's what Florida Field mostly is or was. And that's going to be, I don't know, I may be good for the first half and ready to go find a TV for the second half, or for a TV if it's a blowout so I can watch Florida, Georgia. But you've got some news about the television issue with Florida, Georgia that I'm trying to segue you into right now. That is not optimal. Tell me about this.
Yeah, I don't want to send everyone into a panic, but first, Silverback Concrete. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. Appreciate them. This is not something I want to talk about whatsoever, but maybe it's
well, I shouldn't have brought it up. But
no,
I mean,
no, it's people need to know, man. People need to know. I don't want to,
service, a
I
public
guess
service.
I'm advocating also for going to a game in this day and age because I hear all the time my dad is, in his mid 70s and he's always hitting me up and saying, "Hey, why would I leave the comfort of my house? I got a, 85-inch TV. It's warm in here. I got all the beer I need. Why would I leave and go to the game 25 minutes away?" Well, he moved to YouTube TV a couple years ago from DirecTV, finally got tired of the price increases, got YouTube TV. Everything was all good and dandy, but now you have these situations where they seem to be dropping channels, losing channels a good bit. And I'm not trying to, slander YouTube here because I know it's not their fault whatsoever. These are negotiations. It's not one person's fault, whatever. I don't know what happens behind the scenes. I'm ignorant to all that. But late last night, if you went to bed early like I did, you probably didn't see YouTube TV put out an announcement that they have not been able to come to a deal with Disney for a renewal of the contract. The contract is up, I believe, November 1st, or it's up today, October 31st. That means that Disney networks are not going to be on YouTube TV starting today, I believe, either today or tomorrow. So if you remember a couple years ago, you remember that iconic theme, the CBS theme that you heard before every single Florida Georgia game. That changed a couple years ago. That game is now on ABC. ABC is owned by Disney. So as of right now, unless they figure something out here in the next 24 plus hours, if you have YouTube TV, you are not going to be able to watch Florida versus Georgia. So when you say you're going to go find a TV, man, you're going to have to like call around and be like, y'all got DirecTV? You got a satellite dish on top of this bar here? I don't know what the solution is. It definitely is frustrating to people, but yeah, I just hope they figured it out, man, because just getting this announcement this day, and you saw a bunch of ESPN anchors coming out on social media yesterday and saying, "Hey, go and petition them to keep this network on." This is a mess, man. I hate it for people out there.
Bad timing. I'm one of the only people or that anybody watching this show, with the exception of maybe Captain Trash, that still has cable. And I do that because I'm lazy and I don't want to figure out another login and do all this stuff with the remote. I just turn it on, speak in there, and it comes up. But I think that's tragic. And I don't know what bar I'll be at tomorrow. And what I've loved is that this silly Ohio game is at noon, and that gives me time to get somewhere by 3:30 for kickoff. But if I get somewhere at 3:30 for kickoff and they've got YouTube and nothing changes between now and then, I am absolutely screwed. So what happens is that I'll get it on this phone and just dial up my Cox. But I think that absolutely sucks. I think it's ridiculous. They do this on purpose because it gets people riled up during a time when everyone wants to watch the ball game. And I know how these people work. They say, listen, let's leverage what we have to try to get what we want. And right now, I don't know who's in the right or who's in the wrong, but if that's the case and they're pissing on each other, it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. I think that's a shame. Now, Graham, you got a lot of folks on here, kind of switching gears, asking you still to elaborate more on your coaching carousel with Florida. And I looked up something on Smart Money Sports, yesterday. It's a Vegas website with about 18,000 followers, so by no means is it large. But they did a poll, and this again, 18,000 followers. Not sure how much on a percentage participated in this poll, but they got Lane Kiffin at 51% or better, staying at Ole Miss, and LSU at 27%. The next runner-up with Florida down to 19%. Do you think that this LSU opening has changed the calculus for what you think will happen with Lane Kiffin? Because truly nobody knows anything. And I traveled with some Gator boosters last night. They are more than convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that Lane Kiffin will be the Florida coach. I talked to two of them yesterday. Lane Kiffin is going to be our coach. It's a done deal. It's ready to go. I said, it's not a done deal. Why? Because Lane Kiffin hasn't told you that. Well, I heard, no, yeah, you heard nothing until you hear from Jimmy Sexton, Scott Strickland, or Lane freaking Kiffin. That's the only way you know anything. So you don't know, and I hate it when people say they know, and then of course, well, he changed his mind or something. No, you don't know. So if the Gator Nation's biggest name doesn't come here, and everybody gets heartbroken because they are throwing their entire stack on Lane Kiffin, which is always a bad thing to do. I've always seen that. Sometimes disappointment exceeds the reality. What do you think is going to happen?
I think you don't hire a search firm if it's Lane Kiffin.
Well, they've
I mean,
got a
I'm not
search
trying to
firm.
be a Debbie Downer.
Don't
They
they
hired
have
a
a
search firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Florida hired a search firm, and everyone out there, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it, could have, you ask who is the top candidate, people would say Lane Kiffin. You don't pay a search firm 6, 7 figures if it's
Good
that
God.
obvious. And
Good
I'm
Lord.
not saying it's not Lane Kiffin. Let me be 100% clear here, but
Right.
due diligence seems to be a priority here. They've had a ton of time to figure this out. This is not something that happened overnight. They could have got their ducks in a row a year ago, started looking at candidates, and I believe they did. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. But let this thing play out, man. You're trying to find the next Urban Meyer, the next Steve Spurrier, and those are, a needle in a haystack. And who knows if there even is one out there right now. But you got to do your due diligence. You can't just take the popular name, especially in this day and age where coaching salaries are incredible right now. All the power to you if you can get one of those jobs. I mean, you're set for
Crazy.
life, in my opinion. But let this thing play out, man. There's going to be a few things that are going to have to happen. Lane Kiffin is still playing for the college football playoff, just like Georgia is.
Yeah.
And if he makes it there, and say they win out the rest of the way, say they go 11-1, they're hosting
They're
a playoff game on December
absolutely
19th.
hosting a
And
playoff game. Yeah.
Florida would not announce him as the coach if that is the situation. Ole Miss wouldn't let him remain on as the coach for the college football playoff. If he's heading to Ole Miss, they'd have to keep this whole thing still a secret. So nothing's going to come out on Lane Kiffin, at least until Lane Kiffin's season right now is decided. Now, the LSU thing, man, is interesting. And I'm not one to talk politics in sports because so many people use sports as the way to escape from politics, regardless of how you feel. And right now, the situation at LSU, man, is just a mess. As Florida fans have been saying, it's pretty toxic right now. They're, forcing out Scott Woodward. I can't say that that's necessarily a bad decision, but when the governor can step in and force that hand there, and the board has so much influence, and they've publicly come out and said, that they're going to have to maybe find some financial ways to make this happen. If you're Lane Kiffin and Florida's offering you, 12, 13 million, why would you go to LSU if they're saying, well, this is what we can pay you, 8 million a year for 6 years, or we're going to have a different incentive-based contract? Jimmy Sexton's not listening to that, man. He's not listening to that offer. I think that those public comments have hurt LSU and the political oversight here with the situation with the AD has lost, you know, has lost a lot of luster for this job here. So it could still happen. Absolutely. I'm not saying it can't, but that is certainly, in my opinion, hindered them a good bit. And again, I'm not trying to make it political in any way, but you have to be wise with your statements at this time. And this may not be popular, but give Scott Strickland some credit. When he was asked about coaching salaries the day after Billy Napier was fired, he came out there and said, we pay what the market requires. We don't set the market. It's everyone else around us. It's coaches. This is a money-making business, and unless something falls, something happens, we're going to have to keep spending for the top coaches what the market requires. And
Right.
that's the way to say it, in my opinion. I mean, you can't come out here and say, well, we're going to be cheap. This is what we got. You're gonna piss off a bunch of agents and lose a bunch of options right there. So that's my 2 cents on the
Well,
situation.
yeah.
I don't know what will happen though.
Well, it does feel like two guys are running this whole business. It's Jimmy Sexton and Trace Armstrong. I mean, these guys are running the show. It feels like, and if there's going to be change in this absurdity of what is back end loaded college coaching contracts, which should be more incentive driven, of course, we all know that. If that's going to change, it has to come from the top down in a coordinated effort, and good luck with that. It just doesn't seem like anybody would be on the same page. Then the agents would start claiming collusion and all this and all that. It's all driven by market and competition, and I just think it's amazing that two guys basically have so much power because of their client base and their clientele. Jimmy Sexton is never going to settle for less because that affects the rest of his client base. If he starts working on with college ADs and presidents on trying to restructure the way these back-end loaded, ridiculous guaranteed deals work, that's not going to happen on his end because that would affect the rest of his client base, and his client base is vast. Like I say, it's he and it's a guy like Trace Armstrong and maybe a couple others that really run this business. And it's so out of whack and obscene that I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time talking about it. I can't take one name out of the mix, and that's Marcus Freeman. I've been told by many people, and not that they know or I know or anybody, but Marcus Freeman's not going anywhere. He's not leaving Notre Dame. And what bothers me and what's really problematic, unless you're Shane Matthews, is that if Mississippi, as you said, makes the playoff and they win that home game on December 20th, and they have a game in January, let's just say hypothetically speaking, because it's very possible with the way they play. The transfer portal starts on January 2nd. When is the signing day in the transfer portal? Isn't it like January, early January, first week of January, January 2nd, something like that? Is Florida going to sit around and wait on who they think will be the coach unless he basically tells his team and them that he's coming? And that's the hypothetical I would pose out there. And Shane says, listen, he's going to tell everybody, or his team, I should say, which would then be leaked to everybody else after the Egg Bowl. I don't know how Mississippi continues on playing in a college football playoff environment, knowing that their guys leaving and they could also be leaving, because all they care about is playing for Mississippi right now. And maybe I'm absolutely naive about that. I started thinking about it, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's right. You know, he could tell his team, yeah, well, I'm splitting after this, but let's go win a championship. And then you guys maybe can come with me. It's just not as simple as that, but maybe it is, and I'm just naive about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see Marcus Freeman either.
No, that's not happening.
I don't know who it's going to be. Everyone's going to have to be patient. JC, you got some nice
Yeah.
comments here. Why do I envision JC giving out gambling advice to the
Yeah.
trick-or-treaters? You doing anything for Halloween tonight? You going to a bar or anything?
No, yeah. Well, I'm going to be at either this one or one in closer into campus. Halloween is never. Yeah, kind of. Once the kids grew up, Graham, I just kind of lost interest in the whole thing. I didn't want to sit by the door. I didn't want to hear the doorbell ringing, and I didn't want to go waste money on sugar that was killing these kids anyway. I know,
Yeah.
isn't that terrible to say?
Yeah.
I am the same boy I used to be. JC, has anyone told you that you look like Mauser from Police Academy movies? I haven't seen one Police Academy movie in my entire life. I wouldn't even know what that is. Do I look like some guy named Mauser, Graham?
No, you don't. You don't at all.
So he's
I don't know
wrong.
who that is, honestly.
I've never seen a Police Academy movie. I have no
All
idea.
right, JC, we're going to let you out of here, man. I really appreciate you
brother.
joining me today.
Yeah, man.
Man, stay warm. You look like you got some warm clothes, man.
Yeah. It's going to be in the
cold up
40s.
there.
It's going to be in the 40s. I got some jeans ready to go.
It's too cold for me, man.
You can handle it. Come on, Graham. It's going to be great.
Up.
Hey, are you going to the game tomorrow? Or did you just say
absolutely, man? No, absolutely. I'm getting
sweet.
up there,
right.
Leaving at 7:30, getting in the parking lot, hanging out. I get a chance to see some people I don't usually. Yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'm trying to balance it out, man. But
let your hair down, as they say, Grant.
I'll try to, man. It's it's up to the wind and the humidity, man. But thank you for joining me, man. It's always a pleasure. Really appreciate JC here.
We'll see you Monday.
See you, man.
All right, brother.
All right. We're going to take our first break here in a minute, but wanted to thank Electronics World Integration and Design Specialist for smart home automation and entertainment. It's Gator season, y'all. Let Electronics World bring the Florida Gators, college football, and the NFL to your living room. electronicsworld.net. All right. In the second half of today's episode, we're going to have to go to Jacksonville to be joined by no one other than, you know him as Gators Dave. Dave Waters does a fantastic job running the Gators Breakdown podcast. We're going to have him on here to talk about Florida, Georgia here, what he's expecting on Saturday as well. Maybe not talk about this YouTube fiasco. I don't want to be a doom and gloom guy, but looking forward to having him here. And it's going to be a big second half of the show here to wrap up the end of the week here. It's Halloween, y'all. Really appreciate you having me. Filling in for Shane here. He does a great job. He's irreplaceable, but just happy to be here today and talk to you all. Miapa Latin Cafe, proud to support Gator Nation for 22 years. New location opening in Alachua, new building, same great food, served with a smile. Check out one of our 5 locations today. All right, keep rolling in on YouTube here. We're about to take this first break here in a minute, but I got to read some of these comments here because y'all have just been, I appreciate all the support, you guys hanging out. Do I think players are loyal to Ole Miss? Got this one here from Mojo NCFL. I think in this transfer portal era, I mean, they're going to be loyal to a coach more than anything, right? I mean, you want to have a chance to play, especially if a coach is coming in here and you want to have an opportunity. You don't want to be on a roster and a new coach comes in here and you could have left elsewhere and you could have gone somewhere, and then you're just sitting here and just missing your opportunity. So they have to make the wise decision, and the portal not opening right when a coach is fired may make that a little bit tougher of a decision because so much has to fall into play here. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Absolutely. All right, we're going to take this first break here. Appreciate you guys all sticking with me today here. And when we come back, we'll be joined by Gators Dave. You know him. He does a great job here. Again, want to thank Quality Plumbing. This YouTube live question that we're going to have here in the second half is brought to you by Quality Plumbing. You also can send your questions to the Titan MRI text line, 352-353-7465. We're excited to have the Titan MRI hotline sponsor the second half of the show with Gators Dave. And we will be back here right after these messages.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, UF Health Orthopedics. Our gridiron sponsors are Baker's Sports, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Rue's Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Advocare, and MG&A Wealth. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And if you want to advertise, give my man Freddie a call at 352-284-3733.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
The jewelry store with the most likes, the most positive reviews, the most raving fans is International Diamond Center.
IDC is definitely a place that I will come to as long as I live here. This will be my go-to place always.
Literally the best jewelry store in town. You'll make friends for life coming in here. I felt like family from the beginning. The value was extraordinary.
I've got a beautiful diamond on my finger, and I'm very proud of it.
International Diamond Center.
I'm very happy to show it off.
At Celebration Point and online at shopidc.com.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother, Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football. Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand. We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers and go Gators.
All right, welcome back to PodUp with Matthews in the morning here. Sponsored by Florida Cracker Kitchen. Florida Cracker is the brand for original Floridians, great food and Southern hospitality in the center of the universe. Brooksville, Florida, FloridaCracker.com. Before we bring in my guest here, Gators Dave, you guys know him very, very well up there in Jacksonville. All right, I'm seeing a bunch of questions about Florida baseball. And listen, I don't have anything to tell you right now. I hate to be that guy. I wish I had the answers. I wish I could come out here and talk about Kevin O'Sullivan's personal business. I don't really know what the situation is. I think, Chuck Girolamo, we were talking about baseball and about football in the first half of this. Money talks, man. If they offered him a way better deal, I'm not going to sit here and say he shouldn't take it, especially with maybe some uncertainty right now in the program. That's his best friend. Who wouldn't want to coach with their best friend, right? So I wish I knew what the scandal was. It's not great, obviously, to lose a guy, but it's better to have it happen in fall ball than be sitting here in the middle of the season and losing a coach to your rival. I expect the Florida fans are going to boo Chuck, and he understands that when you go to a place like Tennessee, that is going to be just what happens. So I wish I had more answers. More will come out here, in the near future. But right now, we're just going to have to stay patient, maybe not speculate as much as people have seen out there. But now we're going to go back to football. Our daily guest sponsor, sponsored by Comfort Temp. Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your local #1 HVAC company, offering $1,000 off new installation units and 10% off any additional services. Visit us at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. And now we're joined by the man himself, Dave Waters. Dave, how you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. Cocktail party right here tomorrow, and a game that's oh so dear to my heart growing up in that state of Georgia. So it's
you got an easy drive, man. What time are you getting out there?
I'll get there about 8. This is the first time I get, the one time a year I get to take advantage of the short drive and not the hour-and-a-half drive down to Gainesville. So
yeah,
I'll miss it for the next 2 years. But
are you going to go to Atlanta next year, you think?
I think I will. I mean, it's
right.
Florida, Georgia. And like I said, this is my personal Super Bowl. So
yeah, absolutely. So I want to get your thoughts here on Billy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
What you think about him being the interim head coach? Did that surprise you at all? Were you expecting someone like Jabbar Jalouk? And what have you seen? I know you watched the press conferences, just his personality wise, and maybe a little bit what you're expecting out of Florida's offense on Saturday. You think they're going to spread it around a little bit more? I got to give you my take real quick here,
Okay.
And don't let me influence you. But it's week 10 of the regular season. Expecting everything to be different.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit wishful thinking, but there are some things that are reasons for optimism, man. I mean, DJ is healthier. He's going to be more mobile. Apparently, he's still a willing runner. What are you expecting on Saturday?
Yeah, so going back, last home game was Mississippi State, and I think we all kind of knew the writing on the wall was likely Billy Napier's last game. So right there in the press box, I was doing the episode post game, and it was like, Jalouk had just come off a suspension, so no, I don't think he'll be the guy. So Billy Gonzalez was the guy I brought up, and because of all the reasons everybody else has, all the history that he had. So I wasn't surprised. It was the move I thought Florida should make, and they made it just because of all his history there. And like you said, Graham, I mean, he's talked a good game as far as what's going to change the offense. Ryan O'Hara calling the plays. He'll be up in the booth, and I do think they'll try some things, and that was going to be in the scripted drives. I mean, that's just where it's all going to come likely. And you know what? You could take advantage of Georgia there. Georgia has started almost every SEC game slow. And then they've had to charge back and get in these games and get wins, with Alabama being the only loss. So there's a chance, and we've seen Florida do some good things with scripted drives. So, I think try to get up as big as you can, and then you might have to hang on for dear life if the season plays out like we have seen it play out for Georgia so far this year. So, I do believe them when they say they want to get more aggressive in opening up, but then at the same time, what does VB3 and Aiden Mizell being out do to you being capable of doing that? You might be willing to do it, but if you don't have two of your most explosive weapons out there at receiver, can you do it? So Tank Hawkins, TJ Abrams, Trey Wilson hopefully comes back to some kind of form that we're all expecting to see from him at some point. All right, then maybe you could still do it. But dude, now you're asking some guys who haven't necessarily done it if you're going to open it up, besides Dallas Wilson and J. Michael Sturdivant. So I believe in those guys being able to do it. But as you said, this ain't going to be some massive change. Can you be more aggressive? Can you live in the more aggressive tendencies? Can you live in the more passing section of the offense that Billy Napier had? Sure, and that's what I expect to see. But Florida's not going to come out and go 4 or 5 wide and air raid and throw the ball 50 times a game and go look like Mike Leach is coaching the team right now.
Yeah, no, if you think that, I think it's a little bit wishful thinking. I mean, I think there could be some things you see differently. Every offense has an arsenal of plays, and Florida has. It's kind of lazy to think that people have seen every play that Florida has in its playbook. Now, there are some different things that they could call, some things that they could maybe work on at a higher rate, but expecting the offense to look wholly different, just wishful thinking. I got a bridge in Brooklyn that I could sell you if you want to believe that. And don't let me stop you, but you can see it on Saturday, and I'll eat crow if I'm wrong. If Florida comes out there and looks, wholly, different, you're seeing 5 wide and you're seeing gadget plays. There have been things they've worked on during the season. Before the Texas game, I believe they worked on a good bit of Wildcat. So maybe you see some stuff like that. I just don't want people to come out here and be like, oh, we're going to score 45 points and look so much more explosive. I don't know about that. I'm writing about this today at Swamp 247. The losses of Vernell Brown and Aiden Mizell. I want to get your thoughts on this after a second. But, so much is made about talented wide receivers and what it takes to be successful when you get to college. So much of Billy Gonzalez's emphasis for guys when they get here is perimeter blocking. How are they going to do in the run game? Saying, putting a body on a body, go out there and hit someone, even if it's a smaller, defensive back. You got to be willing blockers. Where do you think, I'm gonna quiz you a little bit. You ready?
Okay.
Where do you think Vernell Brown and Aiden Mizell rank in Florida's wide receiver group as run blockers according to PFF? Guys who've played more than 50 snaps. Where do you think they rank in PFF? Tough, right?
I'm going to assume not good.
Oh, okay. All right. Vernell Brown's number 1.
Oh.
As a run blocker.
Nice.
Over 60. Aiden Mizell, small guy.
Yeah.
He's number 3.
Okay.
J. Michael Sturdivant is number 2, but it's close between him and Mizell.
And for whatever reason, if you would have told me J. Mike, I'd have believed it because I've noticed it from him. But for whatever reason, I haven't noticed it from the other guys. Okay.
It's more common for a veteran. And, I don't know what the sample size is for Mizell because he's been limited at times, and it may be based off a couple plays. And, again, PFF isn't everything. I'm not trying to slander PFF at all. I think it was very wise of Billy Napier to come out and say, oh, it's a starting point.
Yeah.
But it's not everything because, and I think case in point in that is Billy Gonzalez, Billy Napier both praised Eugene Wilson as a blocker, after the Texas game, especially when he didn't have any, touches, but he blocked his butt off. Like they said, he's the lowest graded run blocker on this team, 39.7, which kind of surprised me because, I do think he's done a better job than people here think. But I think not having Vernell Brown and Mizell in this game on Saturday is going to require someone to be a little bit better blocker than they have because Georgia's defense is talented. I know that they've started slow and there have been some issues there, but they are a second half team. They, and no one is more fired up. Maybe you, but no one is more fired up for this Florida Georgia matchup than Kirby Smart. You remember that audio that leaked
Yeah.
in the tunnel at halftime
Yeah.
a couple years ago? If
My
that came
Georgia
out
friends
today,
actually sent it to
people
me
would say
earlier this
that's
week.
AI, man. They would be like, that's an AI recording. That's not true. But yeah, man, that's who Kirby Smart is. He wants
Yeah.
to kick Florida's butt. He doesn't want to just win this game. He's not gonna be happy with just mistakes. So, Florida's gonna have to do some things different offensively, and they're gonna be without two of their top blocking wide receivers, which is gonna put a lot more on Florida here. DJ Lagway not finishing this game last year.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be some motivation for him? I mean, I know that maybe it's even a little bit lazy sometimes, or it's a cliche, let me call it that, to think that what happened a year ago or an injury or anything, guys are trying to flush that stuff, and they've experienced 4 losses this season. That one last year probably is not the most recent usage of motivation right there.
Yeah.
But what are you expecting out of DJ in this game? Probably his last game in Jacksonville. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Atlanta and Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chance to be in an NFL stadium, finish what he started last year when he exited in the second quarter. What are your hopes are for what you'll see out of DJ Lagway on Saturday?
Yeah, I think with him, there probably will be some motivation, but you have to pair that motivation with, all right, the changes on offense. Like if DJ goes out there and plays well, I'm not going to attribute it all to, well, he's just trying to get back at Georgia for last year. Not that they injured him or anything, just because of what happened last year. No, I think it's going to be more because there is some change in the offense, and they've worked on some things, and going back to the whole Georgia part of it, and with DJ Lagway, Georgia's a really good run defense. Where they have struggled is in pass defense and third down defense. So maybe going back to an earlier point, maybe we do see a little more passing because that's just where Georgia's defense has struggled this year. They've given up some explosive plays. They've had trouble tackling. So maybe Florida can take advantage just because they may not be able to run it. And I like Jaden Ball and what he can do, but Georgia's run defense has been pretty stout this year. But not what you expect. They can't rush the quarterback. They only got 8 sacks on the year. So going to your earlier point, maybe another week off, DJ being more healthy, being more nimble, and Georgia's, ineffectiveness of being able to get to the quarterback. Maybe this is kind of just a get right game for DJ Lagway. Hopefully reminiscent of the Texas game a few weeks ago, but with another week off, we saw him take that first step of the season after that first bye week. Is there another step after another bye week here and the changes in offense? I think there can be. I'm still high on the potential of DJ Lagway. Maybe that's wrong because of what he showed this year and all the time he missed, but I still think something is there. Maybe this marriage of changing the offense a little bit, another bye week, and the Georgia defense that can't get to the quarterback and has struggled in pass defense. Maybe that's the perfect marriage for a breakout game for DJ Lagway.
Yeah, I feel bad for DJ in a sense because he's clearly not 100%.
Yeah.
And is a perfectionist, right? And people, a couple weeks ago were talking about him quitting on this team, opting out when things were bad. And as a competitor, not saying I'm on the level that DJ is whatsoever, but I can put myself in those shoes. And if you're a competitor, being called a quitter is like spitting in your face. I get the opt-outs and the transfer portal and all that stuff. Those are realities, and guys do opt out. You saw it last year before Florida played UCF. A couple UCF guys opted out of the season in October, and that still kind of shocks me a little bit because you're trying to put stuff on film and be ready to go, and you don't want to quit. And DJ has played through injury after injury and hasn't been able to play to the level that he's capable of. And people have talked about him as if he's a disappointment because of the injuries. This is still a second-year guy. I know that we have sky-high expectations, and there was all the preseason Heisman hype and all SEC and Maxwell Award, all these award lists. But he's still a 19, 20-year-old guy who hadn't started a full year and has things that he has to work on and changes he made. He altered his throwing mechanics. His footwork still needs work. He didn't get the time in the offseason to continue working on reading defenses. Teams have more film on him. They know his shortcomings. They know what he likes to do, and he's easier to prepare for in that regard. So it's a tough year for him, but he's kept battling. And, maybe I'm sitting here on my soapbox a little bit, but I would like to see people rally around him a little bit more because he's still fighting, like Billy Gonzalez says, playing for the patch. And even if it's not perfect, see him for who he is outside the helmet a little bit more. And that's someone who's still fighting for this team, even though they're, not 500, trying to make a bowl game. He hasn't quit on the team and has stepped into a larger leadership role with Graham Mertz no longer being on the team. UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Injuries occur whenever and however, and it's never convenient. For sprains, strains, and minor fractures, UF Health Ortho Care makes it convenient for you 7 days a week, including evenings. Walk-ins are welcome. We appreciate their support. Dave, before we get out of here, man, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. I already have been doing that this morning here. I don't know if you had your coffee, but make you think on your toes a little bit here. What does Florida have to do on Saturday to get this upset, to snap the streak? What must they do on Saturday? And after that, I'm going to put you on the spot, man. I'm going to need that score prediction from you because I got JC's here. He's saying he's taking the points, that Florida's covering 7.5. I went on our podcast yesterday and talked about all of Georgia's shortcomings. You can go listen to that if you want. You can get my score prediction, but I'm going to give it to you right here. I went 31-20 Georgia. Don't crucify me in the comments on YouTube Live, on Facebook. Florida has scored 20 points in each of the last 3 games in this contest. Meanwhile, Georgia has scored 34, 40, 44. They're averaging nearly 40 points a game in this contest. Until I see it, I'm struggling to believe it a little bit here. I think it's going to be close in the fourth quarter, just like it was last year. But I still think that Georgia has a little bit too much talent, and the interim head coach change, that's just difficult to overcome. Am I wrong here? Do you align with me here? What do you think happens on Saturday?
On Gators Breakdown, I picked 30-20 Georgia. So I was only a point off from you right there. So
we're smart men.
There we go. I mean, I hope we're not. I hope it goes the other way. So third down on both sides for me. Florida's offense has really, really struggled there in third down offense all season long. And it's been because they've been in third and long. But as I've said, if Florida is even in third and long now, if Florida's in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and Georgia still can't get to DJ Lagway, then there still might be something there. Florida can maybe still have some success there, given Georgia can't rush the quarterback well right now. But I'm sure they worked on that during the bye week, and maybe they figured some things out. So that's still a very important piece for me. Go to the other side, and Florida's defense. Florida's going to have to win a good bit of 3rd and shorts. Georgia lives in 3rd and short. And so defensive line, linebackers are going to have to show up. And I say like 4 or 5 3rd and shorts. There's going to be some 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s where you're just going to have to man up and you're going to have to stop Georgia. And they live in 3rd and short. And that's just how they ran 80 plays against Ole Miss. A lot of that because they were converting 3rd down after 3rd down. That wasn't the only game. They live in 3rd and short. They're a very efficient offense. So I just think, a few 3rd downs, a few 3rd and shorts, Florida's defense is going to have to win that matchup.
No, I'm with you. Absolutely. They can't be in 3rd and long. They're going to have to get off the field. It can't be like Texas A&M where they can have an 8-minute drive and just eat up this chunk of clock. Florida's going to need opportunities in this game, and I'm with you, man. Hey, I'm going to see you out there Saturday morning. I appreciate you joining me. I got a beer with your name on it. Before I let you get out of here, tell everyone where they can follow you, what shows you got coming up, the recap show. Gators Breakdown does a fantastic job. One of the top 150
sports
podcasts? I mean, man.
It lives there. Football season.
How do you be humble? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be humble. I'd be talking a little crap, man. I mean, tell people where they can follow you, what you got coming up.
Yep, at Gator Dave _SEC on Twitter. And then, of course, Georgia previews out there. Graham Coffey from Dog Central joins me. So you get a deep dive into the Bulldogs and, talk all week about the game. And then sometimes Saturday night, whenever I make it home into the studio, I'll do a recap episode.
Awesome, man. Hey, I really appreciate you. I'll let you get out of here. Everyone should dress like Gators Dave is right now because, man, it's going to be cold out there. I don't know about y'all. I'm a little bit chilly in here. When it gets below into the mid 50s even, I'm sitting here freezing. So everyone bring a sweatshirt here. Really appreciate Dave joining me today. Sponsored by Comfort Temp. Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your #1 local HVAC company offering $1,000 off new installation units. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Dave, I'm going to let you get out of here, man. Really appreciate you. Got a couple here questions before we end this show here. Graham, remember when Pat Dooley called you on the tailgate for leaving the Gainesville Sun? I got nothing but love for Pat Dooley here. Absolutely. I appreciate the question. Do Do I think Tramel Jones only played in 3 games here to save his red shirt? I don't know if that was his decision. I think it makes a ton of sense for him. A guy that he's not the guy, and you want to play in as long as you can. You want to be a guy who's a 5th-year guy who's a polished quarterback. So if he gets another opportunity later in the season, that'd be awesome for him. But yeah, he's going to redshirt. No Shane today. He's a great guy. He's doing a charity event. I appreciate him letting me host the show today here. Appreciate you all for listening here on YouTube, on Facebook Live. I really appreciate just all the questions. You can obviously read my stuff at Swamp247, and I'll be out there on Saturday. If you're out there Saturday as well, make sure you find me. I'm the guy with the great hair. Bring me a beer here. I don't know if I can drink it. I'll give it to someone else, but come find me here. But that's going to do it for this episode of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. Again, coming to you from the International Diamond Center studios with locations across the state of Florida and right here in Central Point in the heart of Gator Nation. That's going to wrap up this show. Again, thank you, everybody. Shane will be back on Monday. Looking forward to a great game on Saturday. Hope you all can watch it, whether in person, on DirecTV, whatever it may be. And I'll talk to you all soon.